Hi, so today I'm going to go off the beaten track a little bit and talk about a film that I've seen recently that was actually in colour, which is a rarity for me. Normally it's like black and whites, so a film that's in colour is insane. It was a film that was made in 1957, so let's not get too excited. It's not like I've gone mad and seen something super modern, but it was really interesting. It was a film I watched the other night, and it was called Desk Set, and it starred Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, and Gig Young. Um, and I sort of watched it mainly because I'd never seen a Hepburn and Tracy collaboration before, which just struck me as really odd because they are like Hollywood royalty of that era and did so many films together and are such a famous partnership, but somehow or other they'd slipped through my net and I'd never actually seen them in anything. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to rectify that when it was on Talking Pictures the other night, which, if you do not watch Talking Pictures as a channel regularly, you really need to watch it because there are some phenomenal films on there. I've seen some amazing films on that channel over the last like a few months since I discovered it. I've seen so many great black and white adaptations. I watched the proper 39 Steps, like the 1930s version, the other week. That was really good. Yeah, there's a lot on there that's actually a really, really amazing film. The only thing they do that annoy me is they put on the version of Great Expectations that was made in like the 70s, and I'm just like, no. You need John Mills and you need Alec Guinness, and I will not accept anybody else. I don't care how many times you remake it, I need those two people in it. So, yeah, downside to the channel there. But they showed Desk Set the other night, back to my original point. And I'm going to run through the plot of it and I'm going to tell you why I enjoyed it and why I think it's an amazing film. And if it's ever on again, or you ever happen to stumble across one of those box sets in HMV of Hepburn and Tracy, you need to like get it. So it was about this company, and a man comes into the office one day, Spencer Tracy, and he starts doing all kinds of like studies and learning about the people that work there. And one of the people that he learns about is in the reference department of this building. And it never occurred to me that these things existed, but I suppose they must have done. There was a reference department in this, like, it was like a media outlet type place. And they had a reference room, and it was just like four women sat at desks, and people would ring up and go, right, it's Christmas, I need to know all the words to Was the Night Before Christmas. And they would look it out and tell them it. It's like Google, but of an office of four immaculately dressed women, which is brilliant. I mean, it never really occurred to me how people went and found these things out before Google. I presume they just potted down a library, but I guess there's not always just time for that kind of thing. So people would ring up and be like, how heavy is the earth? Can you find it out? And they'd go find it out. Which is just an insane job, but they all had these amazing memories. And Spencer Tracy had invented like a computer that worked in the payroll department to automatically give out the payroll slips and all the rest of that good stuff at the end of the month. And he was basically down to do a study to see if a computer would be beneficial in the reference department. And Katharine Hepburn was not happy about this because she was like the head of this department. She had an amazing memory. And he gave her all these like problems, you know, if a train leaves such and such a station at whatever time, 19 people get on, there's already 3 passengers, so many get off on this stop, so many get on that stop. By the time you get there, how many are on it, how many got off at this stop, because I didn't specify what time did it get there, if there was a delay of so many, whatever. And she gets them all so right because she associates things with points along the story along the way. Yeah, so she's actually really, really clever. Like, she was amazing. And he kind of, along the way, falls in love with her, obviously, because, you know, this is Hollywood. She's sort of having a bit of a dalliance with Gig Young, who's been stringing her along for 6 years. Like, he works in a different department, and for the last 6 years, it's been like, will they, won't they? And it's sort of, you know, he keeps almost asking her out and almost asking to marry and all this good palaver, and she keeps, you know, buying dresses just in case he asks her to this dance and all that flannel. But yeah, anyway, let's not go into that. That sort of, I was like, Catherine, shake your head, love. But yeah, that's what she did. And Spencer Tracy comes along and thinks she's brilliant, thinks she's really witty. She is cleverer than him, she is wittier than him, she has a PhD. she's brilliant, and it's the kind of role that Katharine Hepburn became famous for. And I've never really done a lot of Katharine Hepburn films, but she often did really strong characters and really intelligent women, and women that could really hold their own and kind of didn't really actually need a man. So, we'll soldier on our own, thanks. Yeah, I loved that about her. I loved that about the character. Spencer Tracy was brilliant because he didn't try and change her in any way. When she started getting all these problems correct and giving all these answers, he was like, wow, this woman's brilliant. This woman's amazing. Like, that's when he started to really, really like her, when she was actually a lot cleverer than him and kept, he was saying a few things and she'd just like keep him in check and drop a one-liner and all this, and he was really into that. And I thought that was really, really bizarre in a way for 1957. I'd always had this image of films of that era, especially rom-coms, of being a bit, the woman would be a bit sappy and then some guy come and sweep her off her feet and she'd slightly have to change and dumb herself down a little bit and all this. And I felt a bit guilty after that because I felt like that was an unfair assessment of the situation. I felt like I had vastly underestimated films of this era and not fully understood the likes of Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, who were a couple in real life at this point. It was a bit of an open secret because he was married, but the marriage wasn't, like, they'd not been together for donkey's years, and him and Katharine Hepburn got together in the mid-40s until he died in the mid-60s. They had like a 26-year romance. And this is 1957, so they'd been together for like, I don't know, probably about 19, 20 years or something like that at this point. So the chemistry that they have is really genuine. Like, they clearly get on and they're clearly very comfortable around each other. And when they look at each other like, and all that, it's real. She is kind of looking at him as if to say, you're an idiot sometimes. And he is looking at her as if to say, what are you doing? But it's real, and it's how real people interact, which is why I really, really liked it. There was one scene that genuinely had me in tears of laughter, okay? And I looked it up, and it was improvised by Spencer Tracy. It was never meant to make it into the film, but it made everybody laugh so much in like the editing room and Katharine Hepburn that they just kept it in because it was just a brilliant bit of their relationship that they had to show. There's a bit where he shares a car with her to get home. Somebody else in the office offers him a lift home because they live like on a similar street. And it's full of this man's wife, mother-in-law, 3 kids and whatever, and they're all piled in. And they get out and it's siling it down with rain. And he says, I just need to get out of that car. I live a bit further up the road. I can get a taxi from here. And she says, oh, why don't you come in till it's stopped? Well, I've got nothing much in, but I'll defrost something. We'll have some dinner and, whatever. So she takes him upstairs and he's wet through. So he goes into the bathroom, puts on a robe and various things and some slippers. For reasons that I don't understand, but I presume it's a thing, he puts his shoes in the oven on a low heat to, like, dry them out. And then he makes her some fried chicken, which, winner. You know what I mean? Some guy who thinks you're really intelligent come back to your apartment and is making you chicken dinner. I'm so far so good. So anyhow, Gig Young turns up and he's really like put out because he said to Katharine Hepburn, I might take you away this weekend. And then he gets called off to work. So he turns up anyhow with, like some flowers or whatever, and Spencer Tracy's sat there in the dressing gown, just like eating his pudding, like, hey, how are you doing? Do you want some coffee? And there's a really like strange interaction where she's getting exasperated with them both because they're both trying to play it real cool. And she's like, I'm a grown woman. If I want a man in my apartment eating fried chicken, I will have a man in my apartment eating fried chicken. Because interestingly enough, and this is digressing off the point I'm making very slightly, at the time, I looked it up, Spencer Tracy was 57, and when I saw him come in and I knew he was going to be the leading man, I thought, oh, please don't like put him with one of the young girls because that makes me just heave. And obviously, they put him with Katharine Hepburn. But yeah, they put him with Katharine Hepburn. She was 50 going on 51 at the time. So it was a really nice, like, middle-aged kind of romance where the ages of the couples was very evenly matched and quite correct. It wasn't like nowadays where you get a leading man who's like 42 and a girl of 19. Why? This wouldn't happen in real life. If you saw that in real life, you'd go, So I liked that they were of a similar age and a similar like adult point in their life. It wasn't like he was a playboy and she was just real naive. They were both very like educated, middle-aged people who had a life and thought, well, this is a person similar to me. So that was cool. So anyhow, back to my original, where I'm going with this bit of the story. Gig Young turns up and he goes off, and another girl from the office comes, and she's like, oh, two men here, very, very odd. So yeah, they're like having a laugh, and Katharine Hepburn's going, oh, bring all the other men out from under the bed that I'm hiding, why not, let's have a party, and she's making a joke of it. So Spencer Tracy goes off to get dressed, and he puts his shirt and tie on and all that, and the other lady brings his shoes out of the oven, and she's like, who in the world do these belong to? And there's a bit where the two women are having a conversation, and just presumably out of the peripheral vision of Katharine Hepburn, he starts putting these shoes on and pretending that they're really hot. And she starts laughing, and she's like, and looks at the other woman and goes, what's he doing? Like, you can see her mouthing, what? At this woman and pointing at him. And he does this brilliant bit of improv where he like shakes the women by the hand and says, oh, I need to get out of that car with that bleeding family and all the rest of it. And then he shuffles off screen, and he comes back with his shirt untucked, his tie askew, and his hat, the brim right down, pulled over his face, pretending to be drunk. And Katharine Hepburn laughs so hard she falls off the chair. Like, the other woman has to hold her up. She's actually just weeping, laughing. And you can hear the other woman and Spencer Tracy giggling away to himself, and Katharine Hepburn snort laughs. Like, the absolutely stunningly, amazingly elegant Katharine Hepburn just sits there going, like she's laughing that hard. And honestly, I was crying. I was absolutely crying at this scene. And it was completely improvised because Spencer Tracy wanted to make Katharine Hepburn laugh, and he thought it'd be funny just to shuffle off and do this thing and get a giggle out of her and make her corpse. And she did, and they kept it in. And it's brilliant because in a rom-com and these sort of romantic films, you have to have some kind of investment to want the couple to get together. And sometimes it's a bit like, well, you know they're going to get together, so let's just see how it happens. When she's actually falling off the chair and the chair's rocking over and the woman catches her to pull her back, so she doesn't hit the floor and she's crying, you just think, oh God, I want them to get together. They're going to have such a laugh. They're such intelligent people. They've got great banter, and he makes her laugh that hard. Like, you can definitely see that is Hepburn and Tracy's relationship. And I loved it. And it just made me think about the type of films that there are for women of like 50 odd today. There's no way in hell you'd get a rom-com with a 50-year-old lady with a man of a similar age nowadays. It's so few and far between. And I just really liked that it was even a thing. The fact that it even existed sort of blew my mind a little bit. And of course there's a bit of a mishap where the computer in the personnel department or human resources or payroll or whichever, I can't remember whereabouts it is off the top of my head, they all get redundancy notices in the pay packet, and they're all like, well, we knew this was coming, he's invented this machine, they don't need us in reference anymore, this machine can look everything up. It's like, it takes up the entire room, it's huge, and you have to tap in the computer and then this sheet of paper pulls out the answer. So there's this woman that thinks she's everything, and she's running this machine, and of course it goes haywire and starts blurting out the answers, and she doesn't know how to spell certain things when people are ringing up, and she gets all flustered, and Katharine Hepburn can just rattle the answers off the top of her head like that. And yeah, there's a bit of a misunderstanding with that, and then it turns out that the machine Spencer Tracy invented for whoever sends out the payroll slips has gone haywire and fired the whole company, and he didn't mean to do that. He wants her to stay on, but he invented this machine so that she could spend time researching and basically becoming even more intelligent than she is, because this is her passion. She loves facts, she loves knowledge. He's invented this machine so that the quick wins can go into the machine and feed it out, and she can spend time on the big questions. Like, he's invented her a machine so that she can be even more intelligent than she is. And I loved that. I absolutely loved that. I am now going to go and seek out further Hepburn and Tracy collaborations, because I'd never fully appreciated their partnership. I knew that they were a real life couple who did a lot of films together, and I knew that that meant that it'd be good because there'd be a certain ease and a certain relaxation that you get around people that you were already familiar with and you were already comfortable with. But the fact that it was so chilled and had such an amazing chemistry and was so clever and allowed the woman to be cleverer than the man in 1957, That was crazy. It was really crazy, but I really, really loved that they let them do that. And it got me thinking about other films of that sort of era. Um, Things like How to Marry a Millionaire, which, yeah, there are some like slightly questionable moments in it, but actually the women are the one in power in that film. Lauren Bacall in that film, I absolutely love. Betty Grable and Marilyn Monroe are great. Don't get me wrong, they're phenomenal. But Lauren Bacall is the brains of the outfit, and she knows exactly what she wants, and she knows exactly how to go and get it, and she tells the other two to go get what they want and how to do it. And she's very much in the driving seat through the whole film. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I know I've mentioned it in a previous blog, and I can't remember what I was talking about. I think I was talking about like black and white films and All About Eve and that sort of thing, where women have amazing lines, and Betty Davis is phenomenal in All About Eve. Like, you will never get better than Betty Davis in All About Eve. But yeah, so many of the brilliant characters and the brilliant roles were played by women in that sort of era. And there was a big hoo-ha not so long ago about women's roles in cinema. People getting all worked up about like Wonder Woman and the fact that there's a female doctor in Doctor Who. People were saying, "Oh, don't know that. Maybe it should be a man." Why? Why should it? You're going back like 60 odd years to a time when Katharine Hepburn was allowed to be intelligent and allowed to be witty and allowed to be the powerhouse of this relationship. Why are we not allowed that anymore? Don't get it. But, long story short, watch Talking Pictures. There's some crackers on there and you get to see some phenomenal performances. And watch Desk Set. Oh my god. I really want to watch it again, and I only watched it like 2 days ago. I can't stop watching the clip on YouTube. If you search it, someone's put the entire film on in bits. But watch, I think it's like either part 8 or part 9, could be part 7, I don't know, it's somewhere in that vicinity. There's a bit, and it starts with all three of them around this like little dinner table. Watch it from about 2 minutes to about 3.5 minutes, and it's the best thing you'll see all day. Spencer Tracy hamming it up, making Katharine Hepburn wet herself laughing. It's brilliant. That is my top recommendation for films. Watch that. I might go try and search it online somewhere, and I might go like see if it's on the HMV website anywhere soon, because I really want to see it again. I'm also going to find Talking Pictures now and see if there's a brilliant film on that I can watch and get worked up again. So yeah, plan of action for the afternoon. I can't find the stop button now. She's going to have to look at my face doing this for ages.